Welcome to Vanishing Gates. I am Jay, your host into the strange and the unexplained. We are continuing our series on sleep paralysis, and this is going to be the episode that I talk about my encounters with sleep paralysis and how I stopped having them, those episodes of sleep paralysis, because that's the thing. So those of you who have followed the show for a while, I think I've talked about it more than once. That I have, in fact, gone through sleep paralysis over time. Now, we mentioned on the last show, the shadow people and whatnot and things like that. A lot of people encounter, like, alien-style phenomenon, close encounters and whatnot. And we'll get into that, too. But I do want to, for those of you watching the video, because this is not live stream, this is pre-recorded, sorry guys, but it will be up. For those of you who are listening to the podcast format, you'll be able to watch the video on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. So if you go to Vanishing Gates on either of those things, you can actually watch the video. And you can see my wonderful Santa hat, but also this amazing mug I got, which I am now holding up towards the camera, and it says, Merry Squatchmas. I just got this as a gift 2 days ago from my darling wife, who found it at a craft fair. Now, if you've been following the show for a while, you'll know that our last year's Christmas episode was in fact titled Merry Squatchmas. So it's perfect. I don't know how she got it, but I'm stoked. It's a nice cup. Coffee. Anyway, so my encounter, or my experience with sleep paralysis is kind of a weird, tumultuous thing. And I can't really tack down every encounter and episode has a particular, I'm not certain if it's all wrapped together or if it's different things happening, but I'll just talk about some of my encounters. Jack's not here, he had to work today, and we'll be recording a Christmas episode soon, and on the next episode, or the next installment for our sleep paralysis series, I'll try to go more into the science behind sleep paralysis. But I do want to help people in the way of how I figured out how to stop having these episodes of sleep paralysis. But we'll go back further. The earliest memory I have, because I've had sleep paralysis for a long time, and it's shaken me out of my sleep many, many times throughout my life. And the first one I can remember, I don't remember how old I was. It was a long, long time ago. I mean, I was young. And what it was is I was dreaming that I was walking down the street, and I tripped, and it woke me up because I felt like I was falling and my body woke up. And I think that's not necessarily sleep paralysis as much as what they call exploding brain syndrome, which is more like a loud noise or something you hear randomly that wakes you up and jolts you out of your sleep. But that's the earliest thing, and to me it all fits together. So I'm not saying it's not spiritual or extraterrestrial, but I'm saying that in my brain and the way I rationalize and feel things, all of these episodes that I've encountered throughout my life are the same thing in a different way. So, and again, when we get to the scientific part of it, we'll go into that. But I've had sleep paralysis things. It's usually when I feel like I'm dreaming, but I'm awake, and it's really creepy. I think one of the creepiest ones, not the creepiest one, but one of the creepiest things that ever happened. And this I think might be more spiritual than it is actual, just a psychological phenomenon or a neurological phenomenon. A lot of you guys who've been following the show, you know I used to be in ministry, and at one point I lived in a church. And my little room was actually a huge closet, but it was my little room where I lived. And I was sleeping, and I was probably about 18 or 19 years old. And I had this dream, and I knew something was very off. I don't know why, but I was looking at a beach. I was either walking down the beach or looking at the beach. I was looking at where the ocean comes in, and and whatnot, and the waves break on land at the beach. But I could see these figures, these hooded figures, equidistant across the length of the beach a long, long ways. I mean, this was a long beach, and there was a lot of these folks. And I was like, oh, that's really strange. Well, then a huge wave came up and crashed down over the figures. But when that happened, one of them was just in my face. The one closest, like, in line to where my eyesight would have been was in my face. I couldn't see what it was. but it was in my face, and I thought, holy crap, there was more of these, because it was obviously coming at me. And I actually woke up with my eyes closed. I couldn't open my eyes when I woke up. My eyes were closed. That's a mortifying feeling, because I could feel something in the room with me. And I was just thinking, like, what the heck is going on? And something in my head said, just keep your eyes closed and go for the light, turn the light on. And so I did. Now, I don't know that that's anything more than psychological or spiritual. I lean towards the spiritual on that one, because I had a lot of strange things happen in that particular building. But that was one of those things where you know you're not awake, but something else is going on. So, I don't know, guys. If you have these encounters too, if you've had sleep paralysis or lucid dreams, please email us at vanishinggates@gmail.com, or just send me a message on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, because we're all over the place. Eventually I'm going to get back to Instagram, I promise. I'm rabbit trailing. Sorry. It's been a crappy week, guys. In the past month, I've had 2 friends pass away, and it sucks. This whole year has been garbage. I'm looking forward to the next year. I'm actually looking forward to 2020. I'm worried, though, because that's going to be the year of hindsight, where you have to remember all this crap. Yeah, goodness. Anyway, so many times, though, I'd be sleeping, and I would just have something pressing on me, like hagging syndrome or old hags or whatever. I'd feel a darkness in the room around me. I mean, this happened a lot for a long time, and maybe it speaks to my character. I'm not sure, but maybe there was something else going on. But my body would overheat. I'd be just drenched in sweat. I'd know something was wrong, and especially when I was involved in ministry, and even now, actually, regardless of what I saw going on around me, usually it was something I could see. The shadow thing comes up. There's always something in the room, or I could feel the presence of something in the room pressing down on me, and I know that I need help. And so trying to cry the words out, because that's what I would do, is I would rely on God. So I'd try to call out Jesus. Every time it would be so hard to get it out, and I'd feel like I was mute, even though I was trying to push it. And I know I was asleep at the same time, though. I'm like, but I should be able to formulate, I should be able to audibly make this happen. And it was so difficult to do that, and it was damaging to me physically and emotionally. And the stress it caused was nightmarish. So I'd go through these situations where I'm calling out, trying to call out, but I'd wake up with a dry throat when I finally come out of it, because there was finally a point where I would basically kind of like whisper out at the top of my lungs. That's the best way I can say it, because you can't yell it. You're trying to yell, but it's so low volume. It's kind of like in those dreams where you're fighting your worst enemy, and no matter what you do, it doesn't damage them. It doesn't matter how hard you hit them or if you shoot them. It doesn't seem to cause any damage. The causation or the after effect of what you're doing doesn't seem to really do anything. So it's probably a stress thing neurologically or psychologically anyway. So I'd be doing this, but I'd wake up with a very sore throat, be hoarse. When I finally broke out of it, I'd be drenched in sweat, like gross. Like I'd have to go shower. And I can, if I'm in the woods camping, guys, I can camp in the woods and not shower. I don't mind being gross once in a while. But normally as a person, I like my hygiene to be very well kept. I'm aware that I'm a big smelly guy, and I don't like to be a big smelly guy, so I try to wash myself regularly, maybe more than regularly. I actually had an ex once tell me that I was a priss or something like that, and it was really frustrating because she didn't like that I showered at least once a day, maybe twice sometimes. Yeah, that's the thing that happened. I'm glad she's an ex. Anyway, so back to what we're talking about. You read encounters, like I would definitely tell you guys to go check out Reddit. Like, okay, the internet, you got to sort through stuff, obviously. We have to sort through things and try to mesh out what's real and what's not real. And it's a very difficult thing to do in this day and age because there's so much information out there. We are being bombarded with information at such a quick pace. It's never been like this for humans. Once we had the internet going and we had the ability to access stuff immediately, that instant gratification of knowledge, it might be a little much for people's brains to handle. And I think that's why we're making such an emotional swing, because we are swinging more emotional, it seems, lately than usual. There was a time, like when I was a kid especially, we were getting to a very logical stage. There was emotion, absolutely, because we're emotional creatures. But it seems like we've shifted more to the emotional again, because it's just such an easier thing to deal with. Like, I don't have consequences. I don't have this. I don't have that, because I don't feel like I need to. And that's a dangerous thing. And I think that we're going to see a lot more sleep paralysis episodes and a lot more stuff going on that way, and a lot more night terrors going on because of that. Again, I could be wrong. It's just my guess. But if you go to like Reddit and stuff, check them out and read some of their stories. And everyone has very similar circumstances in their sleep paralysis. There's always a buzzing or a humming. Not always, but there's often a buzzing or a humming. There's a tingling sensation. And then there's the hard time breathing. So that's a big one. And what I think personally, and I can't verify this, obviously, and this goes into how I stopped having these sleep paralysis / night terror issues. I still get the exploding brain thing, which sounds a lot worse than it is. It just means a loud noise wakes you up. I'm also a very light sleeper, which is very strange, because when I'm in these situations of sleep paralysis, or have been, I woke up so lethargic. Like, I can wake up and go. I don't need to hit my snooze button a bunch of times. I get up and I go. I'm energized first thing in the morning, and I can do that off 4 or 5 hours of sleep easy, sometimes less. And I've done that. And I don't use a lot of stimulants outside of coffee. And I'm even cut my coffee back, by the way, because I don't want to die at a young age. I don't want my heart to explode, because I'm worried that it'll stroke out and just... You guys don't want to see that on camera. Merry Squatchmas. Coffee. Anyway, so... But... I don't even remember where I was. I thought of coffee again, and... overstimulus. But anyway, when I'm going through these sleep paralysis things, though, I'd notice, instead of being able to get up and just go, I was sluggish, very sluggish, exhausted. Like, my body couldn't do anything. I just wanted to melt on the bed and stay there for all day, for the entire day. And that's not me normally. I just don't do that. I'm usually up and go. I'm very much a morning person. Much to the irritation of my wife, because the first thing I want in the morning is something I married her for. And the second thing is I want to get up and go. It's like, let's do this. Let's go. Let's get this done so we can be lazy at home later. So I don't know why, but during these episodes of sleep paralysis, not all of them, but the ones that were the most shaking, because there were a lot that were shaking. I can't remember all the details of all of them. I would be very, very, very tired. And I've heard this from a few other people. So I would suggest reading other stories about it. And if you guys have these like episodes or encounters or whatever you want to call it, let me know, because I really want to hear and I want to pick your brains, and maybe I can help you with how I figured out how to stop having these situations. Good grief, sorry. Wrong tube. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Anyway, so the crazy thing, and what finally stopped it for me, I'll tell you exactly what happened a couple of years ago. Now, the house we live in, people are freaked out about because a tragedy happened. I've mentioned this on the show too. I've been listening for a long time. I don't remember the last time I talked about it. It's been a while though. But there's always people that think my house is haunted. I'm not one of those people. I don't have that conception or that idea. I don't believe it's true. I don't believe that because of something terrible happening, my house is haunted. I just don't. I don't have that feeling. I've been to places where I feel like, wow, there's something really bad here. Not in my house. In my house, like a closet door will open if you step on the board wrong. It's a well-built house, but it's also, we're in California. It goes through earthquakes. Things shift and move. And we're in a place, we're close to the ocean, so there's also moisture that causes wood to swell and move. And so I'm able to kind of figure those things out. And other people are like, oh, your house is haunted. This is terrible. It's like, no, it's not. It's fine. There are times, though, where I feel like, or have felt, that there was something over me in my bed when I woke up. Many times. But I don't think it has anything to do with the house. But my last encounter was sleep paralysis. And it's a couple years ago, which might not seem like a lot to some people, but I mean, this was happening to me a lot. It was every couple months or something. It was frequent. But the last one was the strangest one, because I saw these beings coming out of the wall while I'm laying in bed. And they were gray aliens in my head. It's what I saw them as. But something in me changed at this point as they were trying to grab me, and I kicked one right in the freaking mouth. I did. I started fighting. But first I was fighting mentally. Like my brain was going, nope, you're not doing whatever you want to do to me. I'm going to mess you up. It's on like Donkey Kong. And I started kicking the crap out of them. And then they look at each other, and in their whatever, they don't, because they're not talking, obviously. In my head, I'm hearing them. This one's fighting, and they disappeared back through the wall, and they quit. They gave up. Now, that was a much different sleep paralysis situation or night terror, whatever you call it, than I've had in my past. A much different, because I've never seen aliens in my night terror, sleep paralysis stage, whatever you want to call it. It's never happened. It's always been something much different. So I don't know what this is exactly. Well, at least I don't want to tread on that until the next episode. We get more of the scientific, neurological, psychological stuff, because I think I know what it is. But I realized when I woke up, because I woke up ready to swing. Like I came up out of my bed, and I was throwing a right cross hard and fast into the air. But there was nothing there, and I was just trying to fight. But my heart was pounding. I was sweating. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And I have a very healthy heart for a guy who drinks way too much alcohol, eats way too much fatty foods, and doesn't jog. I do keep in shape, though, guys. I'm just kidding. But I do have healthy heart and lungs. It's one thing that's really good. Every time I've gone in, I'm not trying to brag. I'm just really confused as to why that's a thing. Anyway, so I come out of this ready to fight. But that whole thing, like, they looked scared. The beings that were around me looked mortified at the fact that I was trying to fight, and they actually gave up. Like, I straight up kicked one of them in the face in my head. Anyway, I don't think it was real. I'm just saying this is what I was going through, and I know a lot of people have that encounter with extraterrestrials when they're going through the sleep paralysis thing. But I realized when I woke up, I was laying on my back, and I shift around a lot when I sleep. Not a ton lately, but before I used to lay on my back a lot. Lay on my sides a lot, lay on my back a lot. And I realized that the sleep paralysis situations and the night terrors only happened when I was laying on my back. It doesn't look like it, but I have a bigger neck than you guys might think. And a big neck leads to something called sleep apnea. It's not a good thing to have. And the reason I have a big neck is because I like to do, pull-ups and shit like that. And I like to work out, even though I don't look like it. And I think that might have stifled my ability to breathe when I sleep on my back especially. And that might not be the only part of it, but there's a lot to it. And I started thinking back, and I started trying to remember when I was younger how I would sleep. And, being a guy who's really into martial arts and stuff, I would lay on my back and try to relax myself to a point where my spine would relax and even out. So I'm wondering if I might have released extra, fluids or hormones into my body by kind of just being over-relaxed. I used to really meditate a lot, like just sit there, back straight, and just try to relax and follow some of those things that you would relax with. And I would go into a state of it. I don't want to say I don't want to say it's spiritual, because I think it was very chemical, but I would get that same kind of sensation. I was thinking about it. I would get that same tingly, noise pop sensation that you'd hear when you're going through sleep paralysis, just while I was awake and meditating. And then I started to think maybe my brain is producing some kind of chemical, or my body's having a reaction to it. And we'll get into that scientific stuff later, because I didn't know about any of the scientific part of it. I just stopped doing what I was doing. So I started sleeping on my side a lot. And since I started sleeping on my side more, or on my stomach, I haven't had a single episode or anything kind of like it. And it's been a couple years, and that's a long time for me to go. Maybe 3 years now. 2 or 3 years. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while. I don't think it it might predate the show because the show's about 3 years old. So it might have been right before I started the show that I figured it out. Now, that said, again, I'm a light sleeper. So if something's coming into my room or even outside of my window, I'm ready to go. We had a situation not too long ago where someone was trying to get in the bedroom, our son's bedroom, which is right behind ours. And I heard the window open and it woke me up. And I didn't realize my son had opened the window, or my daughters. I'm not sure, because they would go in and out of the backyard through the window. It was a joke, and I didn't realize they were doing this. But I heard the window open, and so I grabbed a particular home defense device and was going into the room as I heard toys sliding across the floor because my kids can't clean up after themselves. In this case, it was a good thing. And whoever it was got spooked by that and took off, but left the window open. And I couldn't get out the back door in time because the way my house is shaped is a little different. Like I could have got out the window and grabbed him or something, but I couldn't go. I was going out the back door to try to tackle him. And our yard's pretty big, and it's very difficult to tell you guys about without showing pictures, which I'm not going to do. So I went back to bed. I was a little shook up. And no, I didn't call the police because I wasn't sure exactly what happened. And I was still just awake, so I wasn't sure if the window opening was in my head and all the noise was in my head, or if the kids were doing something to let the window open. So I closed the window and I locked it. And I looked around, searched the house, made sure all the windows were locked, checked the backyard, didn't think anybody was out there. And so about, I don't know, maybe an hour, 20 minutes later, I thought I heard that window opening up again. So I popped back out and I hauled ass out the back door. Obviously, they couldn't get through the window, but they were really trying. And the guy heard me coming, and he jumped the fence, and then I called the cops. He jumped the fence on the side of the house. So I'm a light sleeper. It irritates my wife a lot because she'll wake me up because she likes to move around a lot. And, I'm not sure, though, if she's ever been affected by my sleep paralysis encounters. We've been together for like 13 years, 13 years, jeez. And I've never heard her say much about it. I've never heard her bring it up. But there is a correlation, though, on the nights that I have these encounters where she'll say she had a really weird dream, but she won't remember what it was. So I'm not sure if that's just me being like physically moving while I'm having these encounters, or if there's something else going on. So I'm not negating the idea of something extraterrestrial, supernatural, spiritual, whatever is going on. I'm just trying to figure it out. All I know is I haven't had any encounters after that night where I kicked that little bug-eyed gray bitch in the face and then stopped sleeping on my back. So take from that what you will. So guys, the next episode might be the scientific explanation. And by that, I mean, I've actually done research. I usually do, believe it or not, into what actually causes this phenomena, which I think will link directly to how I told you guys I stopped sleeping on my back. I stopped having these problems, but we're going to get to that. I'm not sure if that will be the next episode. We might just do our Christmas episode because, guys, we're like a week away from Christmas. And every year we do a Vanishing Gates Christmas episode. And so it might be after the Christmas episode, but I'm not sure. It depends on when I can get Jack in the studio. He's doing a lot right now. He's going to school, and his wife's having a baby and all this stuff. And I don't think she's anywhere near due yet, guys. Don't worry. I'll let you know. I just said way too many damned times. Yeah. So... but I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you up to date. I wanted to record this today. Jack was planning on coming over probably tomorrow, so we might record another episode tomorrow, and maybe we'll get in the scientific part of it, maybe the day after tomorrow. I'm filling in for another guy at work this week again, so it's going to be real difficult for me to have the time to do a live show. But next weekend, for sure, at some point, either Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, we will be doing a Christmas episode of some fashion. And I really still want your guys' stories that you have, like Christmassy time ghost stories, because those scary ghost stories of whatever, that's great. Let's hear those. Maybe you have a Christmas alien encounter. But also, if you've had these sleep paralysis issues, please let me know. Contact me. I want to hear what you have to say. I might not even read it on the show. I just want to hear what you have to say. I want to pick your brain on it because it's a very interesting topic. I'm not saying I figured it all out with this not sleeping on my back. I'm just saying that's how it stopped for me so far. It might happen again. I don't know. Maybe it was just me kicking an alien in the damned face. Maybe that's what you need to do, is break free of those chains of whatever psychokinetic hold downs they're doing. I don't know. I'm not a doctor or a scientist. Anyway, guys, thank you again for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and follow. I really appreciate that. And leave us good reviews. That's a huge deal, especially around Christmas, because, you know, it's the holiday season. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, if you celebrate something different, happy that to you. And tell me about your traditions. I would also love to hear your traditions. If you're not in America, if you're in a different place and you have a different set of like holiday and traditions, I would love to hear about that as well. Usually we do a Christmas series, and this year we just did Krampusnacht. But we will do a Christmas show. So I encourage you also to go back and listen to our Christmas series from last year. We talked about Growler the Christmas Troll. We talked about a bunch of different things, Yule Lads. We talked about Santa's darker side, because it's a thing. Anyway, guys, again, thank you on behest of Jack, and I think Paco's still out there somewhere, and shirts will be made soon, I'm certain. We just have to touch base, and guys, I need to get on that. I plan on having a merch thing up, and I plan on actually getting the actual website up a little better this year, or next year. This year sucks. This year sucked for a lot of reasons. Anyway, guys, thank you again. This is Vanishing Gates. I'm Jay, your host into the strange and the unexplained. For Jack and Paco, and Nick, our tech guy in Chicago, good nightmares.